In 2004, the Pokemon Company International hosted their first ever World Championships. This event would allow Pokemon trainers from around the globe to travel to compete and determine who was the very best. The 2004 World Championships specifically has become iconic in competitive Pokemon TCG history for many reasons. But the most prevalent is that almost every single player from Japan played the same Team Magma deck, and they actually ended up winning each of the 3 different age divisions. This deck completely dominated the tournament, and the biggest surprise was the deck itself. This was basically a completely unknown archetype that had been disregarded by the rest of the world. But somehow the Japanese collective banded together to make something truly historic happen. The biggest disappointment from this event is that there is very little coverage of it. There were no live streams back then, and there wasn't a massive stage and fanfare for the final match. If you want to find any information from this tournament, you'll have to dig through old Pokegym forum posts or check out some of the resources the community has gathered, such as PTCG Legends and PTCG Archive. So we decided to take a little trip down memory lane and explore the 2 decks that made the finals of the Masters Division a little closer. On one side, we will have Sugiyoshi Yamato's Team Magma deck, which aims to use the high HP of Team Magma's Groudon. Yes, I know, it looks funny, but 100 used to be a lot of HP, combined with its energy-efficient attacks to pick apart the opponent's board and set up damage to take easier KOs later in the game. On the other side, we will have Chris Fulop's Blaziken deck. This deck tries to get multiple Blaziken into play, whose Firestarter Pokepower can fuel the more costly attacks of the powerful Blaziken EX and Rayquaza EX. So will history repeat itself, or are we going to rewrite the past in our first ever retro rematch battle?
All right, Azul, so we're going to be playing a battle here. The turn 1 rules, the rules are different. We'll get into that as we play, but we got to decide who's playing what deck first. I think we're going to do high roll, and then the person who high rolls has to play the first place deck, the deck that won.
Yeah, let's
2 dice or 1 dice.
Let's do 2.
Okay.
Reduce the odds of a tie. I've got 8.
I've got 7.
All right, so I'm going to get Team Magma.
I'll take Blaziken. You know, Blaziken, a formidable opponent. And we are playing with the World Championship decks as well, which is super cool. Like I said, the first year that they did them, something that they continue to do year after year now. A fun way to like revisit a format for a cheap price. Now, these aren't that cheap anymore.
No, yeah.
But if you bought them in 2004, you know, they cost you $10 or something like that, theoretically.
Yeah, and every time I go back and play, I played a lot more of this deck than the Blaziken deck. Every time I go back and play the Team Magma deck, I always learn something new about some interaction or like how to play a matchup. So I'm excited to see, well, maybe it won't be super exciting if it happens in the middle of this match. I'm probably gonna lose that if I figure out how to play the matchup a little bit later, but I feel like that's something that always comes up. The turn 1 rules are a little bit different, right?
Yeah, so the player going first can attack, cannot play a supporter, and they also do not draw a card at the start of their turn.
All right, so do you want heads or tails?
I want tails.
It is heads.
You want first or second?
I actually honestly forget, but I'm pretty sure going first is better, so I'm gonna go first.
I think going first is probably pretty good. Let's get it.
All right, so I'm going first, so no draw.
No draw.
And then I can attack.
You can attack.
And I got the Zangoose here. It's got the call for family for a colorless energy. Search your deck for a colorless basic Pokemon or a basic Pokemon with Team Magma in its name and put it onto your bench. I will attach a, hold up. Let me just make sure this works. I can attach this to my Zangoose. It is a special dark energy, which provides 10 more damage if the Pokemon is a dark Pokemon or has dark in its name.
Yeah, at this point in the game, there was actually no basic darkness energy. The only way you could play dark energy was with the 4 special darks, and that was it.
All right, and then I'll use Call for Family, and I'm going to search my deck for a colorless basic Pokemon or a basic Pokemon with Team Magma in its name.
And the reason Azul was reading Darkness Energy super close is because the era previous to this one, the older Darkness Energy that came out in like Neo Genesis, I want to say, if it was attached to a non-darkness type Pokemon or a Pokemon that had dark in its name, so if it was like attached to the Zangoose in this instance, it would do 10 damage to that Pokemon between turns as a drawback.
Now, one thing I do remember whenever I play with this deck is I hate how there's only 1 Numel in the deck. It is not prized this time, because sometimes it gets prized, and then you can't get your Camerupt into play.
You got Maxi, bro.
Dude, that's what you say every time. Maxi does not happen like that. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it is a very interesting 1-2 Numel Camerupt line. Very rarely in the game have we seen 1-2 or like thin evolution lines like that come up where
yeah, I think
you play less of the basic.
All right, Chip, that's my turn.
And it's my turn now. I will draw for turn. Not a bad draw. I did start my Dunsparce, which is definitely the best card to start. It is like probably one of the format warping cards. Almost every single deck plays Dunsparce. Azul's deck does not play because it plays Team Magma Zangoose, which does something pretty similar, but Dunsparce is quite a bit better in this instance. So I will bench a Torchic. And then I will attach return to my Dunsparce and show you exactly why it is so good, because I will use Strike and Run to search my deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon and put them onto my bench. And then I also do get the option, if I want to switch Dunsparce with one of those Pokemon that I grab. I'm not going to choose to do that, but it is an option. Every time I play these decks, I have to reread cards to just remember exactly how everything worked. And I will, off the Strike and Run, grab a Torchic, a Skitty, and an Oddish, put them onto my bench.
Well, that Bioplume, or not the Bioplume, it's the Bellossom.
Bellossom
Is a little bit annoying. Are those Bioplume's a Gen 1 Pokemon? No, it's not. Bioplume's a Gen 2 Pokemon. Right?
You know nothing.
Is it Gen 2, yeah?
There's a Gen 1 poster on the wall right there. See if you can find Vileplume.
There's no Bioplume. Is it Gen 2?
There is Vileplume. Bellossom Gen 2. Vileplume is number 45. So yeah.
Doesn't look like a Gen 1 Pokemon. Kind of stands out a little bit, to be honest. Doesn't fit in with the crowd.
What is the metric you're using to measure that?
Just looks like a derp. My turn. I will draw for turn. All right, I will play the Team Magma's Conspirator, search my deck for a basic Pokemon with Team Magma's name and a basic energy, and I will grab a Team Magma's Groudon and a basic Fighting Energy, add them to my hand. Team Magma's Groudon got 100 HP. It's a basic Pokemon, and it's pretty beefy for a basic back then, for sure. I mean, even the Zangoose with the 70, I feel like.
Yes, yeah, it's not small.
Look, the Skitty over there's got 40. What are we doing?
It's a little guy.
And then it's got 2 attacks for a fighting and call. It's got the linear attack. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack does 20 damage to that Pokemon. And then the Pulverize 50 plus 20 more if the Pokemon has 2 damage counters on it for 2 fighting and a codes. So that probably seems really weak to a lot of people who are listening right now. I will bench my Groudon with its fighting energy, and I did shuffle up there, but I'm going to go back in with the Call for Family to search my deck for a basic Pokemon, and it will be a Team Magma Pokemon, as I will be getting a Boltoy, which evolves into the very powerful Claydol, which allows me to move its energy around, but I'm not going to be doing that right now. And Chip, that's going to be my turn.
Draw for turn. I will play Steven's Advice. Draw a number of cards up to the number of Pokemon your opponent has in play, which for you is 4. That is the 6th card in my hand, so I will draw 4 cards. I'll attach an energy for turn to my Torchic. All right, I'm going to go for the Sudden Flash on Dunsparce. Dunsparce's second attack here. 10 damage, flip a coin. If heads, each defending Pokemon is now paralyzed, aka your Zangoose. Boom. So you are paralyzed, 10 damage. Now, it does say each defending Pokemon. That does not mean Dunsparce is paralyzed as well. That's like something people very commonly get messed up.
Yeah.
A lot of cards are worded like this because there was a rule set in the game at this time in the game for doubles battles, because doubles battles were introduced in the 3rd generation of the video games. They tried to bring them to the trading card game as well. So Sudden Flash would paralyze both active Pokemon if you had 2 actives.
But I don't, so better luck next time. All right, that is unfortunate that my Zangoose is paralyzed. I'll draw for turn, and I'm gonna go ahead and play my own Steven's Advice, drawing 5 cards.
5 cards.
Fresh 5 here, and then I will play switch, moving my Zangoose into my Groudon.
Getting aggressive here, buddy.
And I have a Magma Energy as well. I'm not trying to get paralyzed, so I'm gonna go ahead and go for the benching of another Team Magma's Groudon, and then Pulverize for 50 damage. Which is all I need to KO the Dunsparce. Get myself a prize card.
Goodbye, Dunsparce. You do have to discard that Magma Energy, though.
True. Yeah, Magma Energy provides any 2 fighting and dark energy, but I do have to discard it at the end of my turn.
Yeah. I'm going to have to just promote the Torchic here, and I'll draw for turn. This is looking rough for me, buddy. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, the turn 3 Pulverize for 50 damage is overwhelming.
It's a little overwhelming. Yeah, absolutely. I'll attach for turn to Torchic. I will bench another Torchic.
Okay, squad's getting set up.
I'll use Rare Candy to evolve my Torchic all the way up into Blaziken EX.
Okay.
And then I'll go for Steven's Advice in order to draw 5 cards.
Okay, maybe I should have held on to the other Groudon.
So I will go for the Blaze Kick. Does 30 damage, and then I flip a coin. If heads, it does 30 damage plus 20 more. And if tails, it does 30 damage plus you are burned. So we'll flip for the Blaze Kick. It is tails, which does mean you are burned. And like you did mention, burn worked a little differently back then. You always were burned. You couldn't heal burn like you do currently, but you flip a coin every time to see if you take the 20 damage. If heads, you don't take the damage. If tails, you do take the damage.
So let's see what happens here. Heads.
So you do not take the 20 from burn.
I am still burned though.
All right. Yeah.
I will draw for turn. Oh, linear attack. I thought it did 30. It only does 20 damage.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and play a Pokemon reversal. Flip a coin. If heads, bring up one of your bench Pokemon to the active. Pokemon Catcher's been around for a long time. It just goes by different names sometimes, and one of those is Pokemon reversal. And I will get your Skitty here off the bench into the active.
Skitty and eventually Delcatty, ideally, are incredibly important cards in this format. The draw engine for most decks, but for me, not today.
I will then play an Underground Expedition, looking at the bottom 4 cards on my deck, and then put 2 of them into my hand, and then return the remaining cards to the bottom in any order. All right, I'm gonna take these 2, and honestly, I don't think it matters what order they will end up in on the bottom, so I'm just gonna throw those back down there.
Deck is a little too thick for that to matter at this point.
I'll then evolve my ball toy into a clay doll, and then I'll use its ability Magma Switch. I can move an energy from one of my Pokemon with Team Magma Insane to another of my Pokemon. But it doesn't have to have Team Magma, but it will in this case, because I'm going to move this over to my Groudon from my Zangoose. I will then play a Desert Ruins, which does 10 damage to EX Pokemon with more than 100 maximum HP between turns. And I'll attach a basic fighting from my hand to the active Groudon. And then I'm going to use that linear attack, and I'm going to knock out your Skitty, Chip.
Goodbye, Skitty. I will promote Blaziken. It does take 10 damage between turns from the Desert Ruins. You flip for the burn. You take 20 damage.
All right, we're up to 5.
And now I will draw for turn. Okay, this is not looking great. So for my turn, I will play Oracle, another very impactful card from this era. Lots of decks played this card, and it might sound familiar if you play current Pokemon Standard. You get to choose 2 cards from your deck, shuffle the rest of your deck, and then put those 2 cards on top in any order. It is literally Cypher Maniac's code breaking.
Yeah, it is funny how many cards actually, when I started playing more retro, like going back into playing these, because that's also Mallow. We had the card Mallow, literally did the exact same thing.
Yep.
And then, what was the old Judge card? It wasn't Judge, it was
Desert Shaman.
Yeah, Desert Shaman.
A legal card in this format.
Both players shuffle their hands to the deck and draw 4 cards.
They do reuse ideas pretty frequently.
Yes.
They just leave enough time between them so people don't recognize that that's what's happening.
Yeah. Well, now it almost feels like they want people to know. Now there's a million professors' researches for so long now.
I will attach an energy for turn to my Blaziken EX, and this is a pretty big flip here. Maybe. 2 flips coming up. I will go for the Blaze Kick. Flip a coin. If heads, it does 20 more damage. Whoops. Come on. And it is a heads. It is 20 more damage. Down goes the Groudon. I take a prize. And it's over to Azul's turn. But of course, between turns, I also do take 10 damage from the Desert Ruins.
All right, Chip. I'll draw for turn. How many cards you got?
9. You got a Copycat?
Maybe.
That was another big part of this format. Like at the high level of people who played back then, it was like the mind games of Copycat versus Steven's Advice. Like, when is it fine to try to play from a lower board so your opponent can't Stevens? Or when do you thin your hand out of good resources so your opponent can't Copycat, right?
Exactly. And with that, I think I will play a Desert Ruins to bump my Desert Ruins, which is something you could do back then, which me and Chip just learned about before we started filming this, actually.
Yeah, I was looking up the turn 1 rules on a website called PTCG Archive. Shout out to PTCG Archive, a good retro resource. And sure enough, in 2004, you could replace a stadium that had the same name. And if you read the card, it doesn't say anything about like how current stadium cards say you can't do that.
You can still only play 1 stadium.
Yeah.
And I will play a Copycat. It's a tough decision here, but I do need to try and find that camera up. So shuffle my hand into my deck, and then I draw as many cards as my opponent has.
Oh, I actually only have 5.
Which in this case, Chip has 9.
I wonder if those things ever happened back then. How many cards do you have? Oh, I have a big number, and then they shuffle and they're like, oh, actually, wait, I only have...
And I'm not gonna lie, Chip, I got literally everything. We got the Camerupt, which is a big part of this deck as well, because as you maybe notice, I was starting to run out of energy here, but Camerupts overheat. Once on your turn, you may search your discard pile for a basic energy card and attach it to the Camerupt. And then you will have to put 2 damage counters on the Camerupt, but combo that with the Clay Doll, and you have got a pretty efficient source of energy acceleration.
Not bad. I don't know if I'd call it efficient by today's standards.
It is a form of energy acceleration.
Yes.
I will then go ahead and use Team Magma Ball. Your deck for a Pokemon that has Team Magma in its name, show it to your opponent, put it into your hand. If Tails, search your deck for a basic Pokemon that has Team Magma in its name. And honestly here, I think I'm content with heads or tails, because I think I was always going to go get another Team Magma's Groudon.
I think that makes sense.
I'm then going to activate the Magma switch of my Claydol here to move this energy from the Camerupt to my active Groudon. I will then attach for turn from hand to my bench Groudon. And I'm going to go ahead and linear attack your Blaziken EX for 30 damage, thanks to the special Dark Energy.
Yep, 30 damage, so I go up to 50. And then between turns with the Desert Ruins, I go up to 60 damage on the Blaziken. I'll draw for turn. I'll use Rare Candy to evolve one of my Torchic up into Blaziken. I will evolve my other Torchic into Combusken.
That's a lot of evolving right there.
I will then attach a multi-energy for turn to my Blaziken EX, which multi-energy provides 1 energy of every single type, but only while it is the only special energy attached to Blaziken, or to that Pokemon. If you play currently, it is the exact same card as Luminous Energy, literally the same card.
Yeah.
And then I'll play Steven's Advice in order to draw a card for each of my opponent's Pokemon in play. You have 5, so I get to draw 5.
Sounds good.
I will bench a Skitty.
Might have to deal with that.
No. I'll go for the Fire Starter Poke Power on Blaziken, getting to accelerate a Fire Energy from my discard pile to one of my benched Pokemon once during my turn. And then I will go for the Volcanic Ash, discarding 2 Fire Energy from Blaziken to do 100 damage to one of my opponent's Pokemon. I'm going to choose here to just go after your attacker, I think. Could debate just going after the camera up. I think that's what I would go off the bench, but yeah, we'll go after the attacker, try to run you out of Groudons and see if that works out for me. Taking the knockout, take a prize card.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and promote my bench Team Magma's Groudon here. And you take 10 more from the Desert Ruins, and I will draw for turn. Gonna go ahead and play that Team Magma Conspirator. Search my deck for 2 basic Pokemon or energy cards, and I'm gonna grab a basic fighting and basic psychic energy here. I maybe could have strategized this a little bit differently. I forgot Blaziken EX was weak to psychic.
It is weak to psychic and weak to water.
Which the Claydol is pretty good against.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did forget about that. I don't know. We'll see if it ends up hurting me in the end here. I don't know if I actually could have gotten into a solid Claydol attack. I do also have to have more cards on my hand than you to actually hit hard with it. So the deck also only does play 1 basic psychic, I believe. All right, I'm gonna go with that Overheat from my camera up here. It'll take 20 more damage. I will bench another Baltoy, bench another Groudon, attach a basic fighting to my active Groudon, and then I'll use that Magma Switch from my Claydol to move the energy from my camera up to the active here. I will play another Desert Ruins, replacing my Desert Ruins. Although it does make it harder to use Claydol, I do believe you play Admin, which I think is probably better to play.
Admin does not exist in this format.
There's no hand disruption?
There's Desert Shaman.
Oh, Desert Shaman, okay. But I don't think you play Desert Shaman. And then I will Pulverize.
Yep. So 50 and then 60, 70, right?
Yeah, and then 80 from the stadium.
So I do go down to
In between turns, so no Pheasantipity.
Go down to the Desert Ruins. That is not ideal.
No script flipping.
Definitely gonna need some help here. How many cards do you have in your hands?
6.
You already played your switch, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to buy some time here, I think.
2.
I will promote Skitty and
Wait.
I'll draw for turn.
Oh.
What?
Dunsparce Jr. over here.
Well, I don't have to flip for Paralyze, you know? I just get to do it.
That's true. Well, you have to flip.
I don't know. You have 6 cards. I feel like you should have more.
Should I?
No.
Do you really just want to play Copycat?
Yeah. I will go for the Fire Starter on Blaziken to attach a Fire Energy from my discard pile to a bench Pokemon, putting it on the Blaziken. I will attach an energy for turn to the Skitty. I will play the Professor Elm's Training Method to search my deck for an Evolution Pokemon and put it into my hands. And from the Professor Elm's Training Method, I will grab another Blaziken.
That seems, yeah, that's quite a bit better, I think. I think you figured it out.
I'll evolve Combusken into Blaziken. I will use its Fire Starter ability to go like that. I will retreat Skitty into Blaziken, and I will go for the Fire Stream. 50 damage. I have to discard a Fire Energy attached to it, and then it does 10 damage to each of your benched Pokemon.
Which that is kind of annoying, to be honest, the 10 damage spread. If you get a decent amount of those off, it starts to build up, especially on the camera up.
Yeah, stuff's got a lot less HP than it does now.
Yeah, camera up's turn over here. All right, I will draw for turn. I will evolve my Baltoy into the second Claydol, and I believe you can use this twice. Yes, that's good. I will then use both Magma Switches to move 2 Fighting Energy from my active Groudon to my bench Groudon, and then I'll play Sabrina's Compassion, picking up a Pokemon in play with all cards attached to it.
Not bad.
And then I will attach for turn from my hand to my Groudon. And with that, I think I will go with a Pulverize. Sabrina's Compassion is like a card we've seen a lot throughout the years in different forms, but I feel like
they're always slightly different from each other as well.
and this is by far the best, I think. I think all the other ones we see today, I mean, Turtle is effectively AZ,
Right.
and those make you discard every card attached.
So it is only 50 damage from the Pulverize because
Yes.
I did not have any damage counters on me. So I take the 50 and then I will draw for turn. All right, how many cards you got in your hand?
6. It's a pretty big hand to copycat away.
I will bench a Torchic. I will use a pair of fire starters on these Blaziken in order to attach 2 energies to this Blaziken on the bench. I will retreat this Blaziken to the bench, bringing up my other Blaziken. I will then attach for turn, putting lightning energy on my active Blaziken. I will then, for my support of a turn, play Pokemon Nurse to remove all damage counters from one of my Pokemon, and then discard all energy if any cards attached to it. So heal the 50.
All right. Kind of a heal war going on. It's getting a little scary, I'm not gonna lie.
Then I will go for the Fire Stream, 50 damage, discard a fire, and then tend to all of your benched Pokemon. Now you cannot use Camera Up again unless you want to KO it.
And that wouldn't be very efficient. Okay, now I'll draw for turn. I'll play a TV reporter and draw 3 cards and then discard any 1 card in my hand. And I'll discard a Zangoose, who have lost some of their value as this game has continued. Oh man, Chip, it's definitely getting interesting now. I'll bench a Groudon. I'll attach a Rainbow Energy to my Claydol.
So it takes 10.
It takes 10, and I'll move that over to my Groudon with that Magma Switch. And I'll pulverize for 50.
50 damage. And I will draw for turn. All right, how many cards you got now? 6 still?
6.
Okay.
Honestly, I feel like I'm disrespecting Zangoose a little bit. I feel like Zangoose should be getting in there a little bit.
It's a decent attacker, yeah. I'll evolve my Torchic into Combuskin. I'll put a multi-energy onto my Oddish. I will bench a Team Aqua's Electrike, and then I'll go for the Copycat. Shuffle my hand into the deck, and then draw a number of cards equal to the number of cards that my opponent has in hand. Azul has 6, so I will draw 6.
All right, you're really going wide this turn, Chip.
Oh wait, I'm trolling.
Why?
I have to attach to active.
Oh, okay, go for it.
I'll Copycat attach to active. I don't think there's any way to fix that editing. All right, I will draw 6 cards. Okay. I will finally get a Delcatty into play. Normally you do that much earlier with this deck. And then I'll use Energy Draw to discard an energy from my hand and draw 3 cards. I will use both Fire Starters for turn, attaching to the Blaziken. Actually, what I probably should have done is attach to this one and then retreated. That would have been much better. All right, and then we will go for the Fire Stream for 50 damage, discard a fire energy, and tend to all your bench Pokemon, taking a KO.
All right, Chip, this is actually getting kind of nervous. Let's see here. This is tough. This is definitely getting close. Okay, I will promote my Groudon here and draw for turn. I will then use Overheat, knocking out my Camera Up, to then play Maxi and recover my Camera Up.
So I get to take a prize card.
And then I'll use Overheat again.
That's so funny.
This is the first time I think I've ever used Maxi in this deck, was right now.
That's so funny. And it was from you KOing your own guy. I'm just going to read it real quick.
Can he knock himself out? I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, that's what I'm reading. And also if you can use more than 1 Overheat per turn.
True.
Yeah, it looks all good to me.
All right, he's heating up. Attach return to my active Groudon. Use 1 Magma Switch to move the energy from Camera Up to the Groudon.
Maybe that's why the Maxi's in the deck.
Yeah.
For the KO your own Camera Up plays, you know?
Broken. And I will pulverize for the knockout.
Okay.
On your active Blaziken.
Goodbye, Blaziken. All right. I'll promote this Blaziken and I will draw for turn. I will play Oracle to choose 2 cards from my deck, put them on top, the rest on the bottom, or shuffle the rest, put these on top. You know what I mean? So I'll put these 2 on top in this order. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to draw them both right away because I will use Delcatty's Energy Draw to discard a fire energy from my hand to draw 3 cards. And I will use Rare Candy to bring out Bellossom. I will attach a multi-energy as my attachment for turn. I will use Firestarter to attach an energy to the Bellossom. And then I will evolve my Combuskin into another Blaziken, use Firestarter on that one to put another fire energy onto this Bellossom. I will retreat Blaziken into Bellossom, and I'm going for the Solar Beam, 50 damage. And you are weak to grass, so it is ×2, 100 damage for the knockout on your Groudon. Taking a prize card down to just 1 remaining. What does Azul have in the tank?
All right, this makes things super tough. I think there is, maybe there's only 1 rainbow. I don't think I can't swing this turn with Camera Up if I wanted to. So I
don't remember if there was a fire in that deck or not.
How many cards do you have in hand?
So 8.
All right, I do have a win condition this turn. I guess I just got to go for it, to be honest. All right, yeah, we're just going to go for it. I don't really see another out here. I'll draw for turn. Definitely some mistakes have been made up to this point, but can make it come down to this. Bench a couple Zangoose, play Steven's Advice to draw 5. I do need to draw into... Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Team Magma Energy. I'm going to use Overheat. I'll move it to the active with the Magma Switch. And then I have a reversal.
Dude, I have this in my hand.
I do 7. Oh no, I do 60. Oh, Chip. Here we go. On the reversal.
That's not a legal dice. You gotta flip this one.
Okay. No.
Never punished.
Oh goodness. Well, yeah, there's definitely a couple different things I could have done to put myself in a better spot. Even actually, the 70 HP of the Zangoose is like a tank. You can't even KO this.
Takes a little bit of work.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got, Chip. I'm gonna retreat
Okay.
to a different Zangoose.
Okay.
Well, I guess we're not done yet. Hold up.
I can't win necessarily. Like I'm on board.
Yeah. It's not looking good though. Team Magma Ball here. Heads, I get any Magma Pokemon. Tails, I have to get a basic. I will fail that. And I think I'm gonna pass it over to you from there, Chip.
Draw for turn.
Yeah, I think it is winnable for you, but you do need to find the Rayquaza.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely could have played myself into a way better position in this one, but here we are. We'll see how it goes.
I'll use Delcatty's Energy Draw, discard an Energy, draw 3. That's a whole lot of nothing right there. Okay, I will evolve my Manectric into, or whatever it's called, Electric into Manectric.
Yeah, I forgot the Blossom one-hit KOs.
Out on.
I didn't think it one hit. I thought it got close.
No, it one hit. It schmacks it.
Yeah, I know it's annoying. I remembered that much.
I will use Town Volunteers as my supporter for turn to take 5 in combination of Pokemon and energy cards and shuffle them into my deck. And from the Town Volunteers, I will shuffle back in 2 Torchic and 2 Lightning and 1 basic Fire Energy. You have to do a full 5. It's not up to 5.
There's so many better plays I could have done. I had more options. I definitely should have checked the reversal first.
I will use Firestarter. I'll use both of them to put the 2 energy. Let's put them onto the Team Aqua's Manectric.
What does that one do again?
It's 50 damage for a Lightning and 2 colorless, and then 10 to each bench Pokemon that has energy on it.
Okay.
And then it's a power, lets me move energy from Team Aqua's Manectric, or from an Aqua Pokemon to another Pokemon. It's the same as Claydol.
Sounds good.
Then I'll attach for turn to the Manectric. I'll go for the Miracle Powder. The first attack, 10 damage, and then I get to flip a coin, and if heads, I choose a special condition and infect you with it. I will flip, and it is heads, and I will choose to paralyze you.
All right. Zangoose is paralyzed. I'm gonna go ahead and use Overheat. Going up to 6 here. I'll attach a Rainbow Energy for turn to my Claydol. Going up to 4. Play a TV Reporter, draw 3, and discard 1. And I will discard a Camerupt, and then Chip. I'll pass it over to you.
Yep. Draw for turn. How many cards you got?
7.
I will switch Blossom into Team Aqua's Manectric. I will go for the Copycat to shuffle my hand into the deck and draw a card for each of your cards in hand. You have 7, so I will draw 7.
So you can close it out here if you can find something.
Rayquaza EX and a Lightning Energy.
There we go. Rayquaza X and the Lightning Energy.
I will draw 7. I'll go for the Energy Draw to discard a Fire Energy to draw 3. 1, 2, 3. Well, not yet.
Zangoose lives another turn.
That's crazy.
True survivor.
He's something. That's right. What do I do now?
Dude, why is 70 HP so tanky?
He's a big boy.
I definitely have misused my Zangooses in this game for sure. I should have got more. They should have been more active.
You have the Rainbow Energy on your thing now, so that's a little scary. I'll use both Fire Starters to put 2 energy onto this Blaziken. I will retreat the Team Aqua's Manectric into the Blaziken. I will attach for turn to the Blaziken, and we're gonna go for the Fire Stream, 50 damage, 10 to everything. Discard this.
5, 5, 5, 7. My Camerupt is in range. Maybe made a fatal error here with this one. All right, I will draw for turn. I think I have 1 out remaining, Chip.
Oh boy.
How many cards do you have in hand?
I have 8.
All right, so I believe, having backed myself into a corner here, this is my final chance to have an opportunity to win this game. And I'm not sure which actually gives me the higher odds of winning the game, but it's probably pretty close. Someone in the comment section can feel free to do the math. I have 8 cards in hand. I could play an Underground Expedition to look at the bottom 4 to find my last reversal, or I can play Copycat, putting 6 cards back in my deck and drawing a fresh 8. So I guarantee to see 2 new cards with the potential of seeing 8 new cards. I don't know, somebody do the math. I'm going to attach a special Dark Energy to my Camerupt and then play Copycat, shuffling my hand into my deck and drawing 8 cards. And I believe, Chip, if I don't find, well, if you somehow don't win, if I don't find the reversal here.
I just need an energy card.
Yes.
You have to find a reversal and you have to hit the heads.
That's the easy part. Here we go. I already found it.
All right.
Here comes the reversal. And no!
That's a tails. That is a tails.
All right, Chip. Well, if you have an energy, I can retreat my Zangoose by using the Magma Switch to get to another tank goose.
Clean goose.
And then I will pass.
Okay. And I will draw for turn. And I will play Oracle as my supporter for turn. Search my deck for 2 cards, put them on top of my deck in any order, choosing those 2. Then I'll put them on top of my deck. I will then use Energy Draw to discard a Lightning, draw 2 cards or 3 cards. I will bench a Rayquaza. I will attach a Lightning to it. I will use 2 Fire Starters to put 2 energy on my Team Aqua's Manectric.
The full combo.
Retreat into Rayquaza EX. And then I will use Team Aqua Manectric's Power Shift to move 4 energy to my active Rayquaza, using its Dragon Burst attack for 40 damage for each fire energy I discard from it. 4, 8, 12, 160 for the knockout and my last prize card.
The goose was not tanky enough in that one. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I feel like there's always things I learn about this deck or matchups.
Yeah.
These things, I definitely, last time we played this matchup, I figured them out and then I forgot them.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's the problem with retro, is you play it so infrequently that you learn everything as you play it, and then you don't play the decks again for 6 months.
Yeah. I do think there should be a basic fire in this deck, though. That would be nice to have.
I think some modern
Guaranteed
lists
access.
play basic fire.
Yeah.
Like Robin Schultz won a big online tournament with Magma that I'm pretty sure he played fire, basic fire.
Yeah. How many Numal did he play?
He played a thicker camera up line and no maxi.
I think that makes sense.
I don't know. I played some 2004 with Pram, and he was playing Robin's list that someone else had built.
Yeah.
And all he was doing, and Pram played back in 2004,
Yeah.
all he was doing was complaining about how there was no maxi in the deck.
Maybe the sweet spot is 2 Numal and some maxi.
Yeah,
That's the optimizing 04. All right. I will be going. How'd they even do best of 2 out of 3 rolls back then? I'm going first.
There were certain time frames, I actually don't remember if this was one of them, where you could look at your opening hand and then decide if you wanted to go first or second.
That was back in 2010. That's what it was for sure. I don't remember about before then. Though. I got them all again though.
Okay, I will probably need it.
That's what you said about the last game, and your Blazikens came out on time.
It was not on time. It was extremely slow.
Turn 3 Blaziken EX?
No.
He was cooking?
Blaziken EX is like not that good.
Well, I didn't have Claydol, so. Well, actually, I might have been able to have Claydol. I just wasn't playing for Claydol.
I didn't get a Delcatty until turn 18 of that game.
Yeah, because I got my reversal heads, okay? I had to get a head somewhere in there.
Yeah, I got to tell you something. Thinking back, literally, if you had not gotten reversal heads, it still would have been Delcatty at the same time.
Yeah.
I just never found a way to get one. I'll take my mulligan, Azul. You said you're going first?
I will be going first, yes.
Okay.
Interesting. All right. I'll draw for... Oh, I won't draw for turn.
No.
I'll attach Special Dark to my active bench of all toy and pass it over to you, Chip.
I will draw for my turn. I will bench Team Aqua's Electrike, attach an energy to it, and then I'll go for the copycat, shuffle my hand to the deck, and draw 4 cards. This is less than ideal, but I got nothing going on in that hand.
Yeah, both of us do not have ideal starters here. I mean, opening Groudon's better than probably my second best starter besides Zangoose.
Yeah.
You do not get the Dunsparce here.
No, don't.
That's an oddish.
That is an oddish. And I'll draw 4 cards.
You're not a big fan of the poison powder?
No. Okay, and it's your turn, Azul.
All right, Chip, I'm gonna draw for turn here. And I would have played Steven's advice, but you're lacking in Pokemon, so I'm gonna go with the TV reporter to draw 3 and then discard 1. The lack of energy is real here. I'm gonna go ahead.
You gotta discard a card for the TV reporter, buddy.
I know. I'll discard a Zangoose and pass it over to you, Chip.
I'll draw for turn.
Oh wait, hold on, sorry. I'll play the Desert Ruin and then pass it over to you, Chip.
Draw for turn, draw for turn. I will evolve my Electrike into Team Aqua's Manectric.
Now we're talking.
No easy reversal heads plays for you. This time, I will use Oracle, search my deck for 2 cards, put them on top in any order, shuffle my deck.
A little bit of a slower setup for both of us here.
I'll say. So I'll get those 2 cards from the Oracle. I'll put those 2 on top of my deck. And Azul, I'll just have to pass.
All right, sounds good. I'll draw for turn. I will play a TV reporter, drawing 3 cards and then discarding 1. Okay, saved.
Found an energy.
I'll discard a Maxi. I heard it's broken, but it's gotta go. Attach a basic fight into my active and then linear attack. And I'll do 30 damage to your Oddish.
30 damage because of the Special Dark.
Special Dark is applying here.
I will draw for turn. I will use Steven's advice to draw 2 cards, including one of the ones I put on top of my deck last turn. I will bench a Dunsparce. I'll attach a Fire Energy. I'll use Power Shift to move the Lightning off of Manectric to the Oddish. Retreat the Oddish into the Dunsparce. And I will go for Strike and Run to search my deck for 3 basic Pokemon and put them onto my bench. And I actually might run here.
Interesting. Although I guess potentially the outcome's gonna be the same either way.
I will grab these 3 off the strike and run, and then I actually will choose to run, and I'll run into Oddish.
Sounds good. This is definitely a little bit of a dilemma I'm having here right now is, I mean, the Skitty's pretty important, but how important?
Blossom's pretty important too.
That's true, but you just throw it in your active. So I feel like
I think it's gonna be a while before that stage 2 comes into play. I gotta worry about some other stage 2s first.
Yeah, I have some time to deal with Oddish. All right, I will draw for turn. I will bench another Team Magma's Groudon, and then I will attach a special Dark Energy to it, and then play Steven's Advice to draw 6 cards. Yeah, pretty good.
What happens whenever you use Dunsparce?
Play another Desert Ruins, replacing my Desert Ruins. And I don't know, Skitty's pretty important. I'm gonna play a Reversal. I've never actually approached this matchup in this way before. I've usually just kind of chilled and just hit the active, but let's go for it. Okay, give me that Skitty.
Sure.
And then I will linear attack it for the KO. Give myself a prize card.
I will promote Dunsparce, and I will draw for turn. I'll attach an energy to Team Aqua's Manectric. I'll go for Sudden Flash. 10 damage. Flip a coin if heads. You are paralyzed. You are paralyzed.
All right, sounds good. I guess that's fair. I got reversal heads. You can have that heads. I'll draw for turn. It is weak to fighting. I'll hit him with the Brightest Compassion here, picking up my active Groudon, from my bench Groudon, attaching a basic fighting to my new Groudon. I'll then bench that Groudon back to the bench. And I will... Honestly, this may be one of the reasons that this is such a good aggressive deck, is the linear attack with the Special Dark KOs Dunsparce. Which I will do here and KO your Dunsparce.
You don't want to get Sudden Flashed again?
No, that's too much. I don't have infinite Brightest Compassion.
I want to promote Torchic and draw for turn. Okay. All right, we can theoretically do something here. I need 1 card to be drawn specifically. I will Steven's Advice for 3. That's it right there.
Oh.
Okay, we can attack this turn.
Oh no. See, you're always complaining about...
Dude, this
Blaziken
setup is
EX.
terrible.
But
Where
it's your
can
best card. It's always... Oh.
Into Blaziken. I'll use Firestarter to put an energy onto Team Aqua's Manectric.
Oh, it's still coming together here, though.
It's still coming together. Attach for turn to the Blaziken. I will then use Power Shift to move the energies from the Team Aqua's Manectric to the active Blaziken, and I will use the Fire Stream for 50 damage, discarding the energy, and do 10 to all of your benched Pokemon.
Okay, that is not good for me. I don't like that. All right, I'll draw for turn. I did like that, though.
Let us know what you guys think about this format where there's like no hand disruption, basically.
Yeah.
Like, there's no Ionos and judges and things like that happening constantly. You get to do your thing with your deck, right?
That is all you get to do. All right, I'm going to play Team Magma's Conspirator here. Search my deck for 2 basic Pokemon. Dude, every time I play this deck, you go in there. Is the Numel prized? It is not prized. I'll get Numel and another Team Magma's Groudon. Bench the Numel, attach a basic fighting from hand to my play Desert Ruins to replace my current Desert Ruins. And I'm going to go ahead and linear attack your active for 30 damage.
30 damage. Draw for turn. I'm going to use Professor Elm's training method to search my deck for an evolution Pokemon, put it into my hand, and I will grab a Combuskin. I am a little torn here on what to do. I think I got to play it a little slower, though. I will evolve my Torchic into Combuskin. I'll bench Dunsparce, and then I'll use Firestarter to put the fire energy on it. I'll then retreat my Blaziken into the Dunsparce. I will use Strike and Run. Okay. Search my deck for 3 basic Pokemon. You thought I was Sudden Flashing?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a Sudden Flash. I was like, here we go again. Chip's favorite attack.
And off the Strike and Run, I will grab a Skitty.
All right, Chip sounds good.
And will I switch is the only other question.
I mean, you know I'm coming for that Oddish if nothing else.
Yeah, and I'm not going to run with the Strike and Run. Your turn.
Okay, sounds good. I will draw for turn. Gonna play an Underground Expedition, looking at the bottom 4, take any 2, put the rest back in any order, grabbing those. This has gotten interesting still, Chip, for sure. I am gonna play Reversal. But I actually, if I get heads, I have no idea what I'm gonna take, so I kind of just hope I get tails. Okay, makes my life so much easier.
I'll take it, I guess.
I'll attach a Special Darkness Energy to my bench Groudon, and then I will go with, and then I'm gonna go with a linear attack here, and I'm gonna KO your Dunsparce. I think the Oddish is gonna stick around one more turn for a free prize card on the bench later. We'll see.
2 cards in my hand. That's interesting call. Interesting call. I'll promote Combuskin, and I'll draw for turn. Okay. I'll evolve my Skitty into Delcatty, and I will use Energy Draw to discard a multi-energy to draw 3 cards.
Now I'm definitely less scared of the Blossom.
I'll use Oracle to choose 2 cards from my deck, put them on top, and shuffle the rest back into my deck.
Another card that it feels like is super powerful in this deck that there's not a ton of is the Team Magma Ball.
Yeah,
It's like
sure.
finding your play doll and finding your camera up is so hard.
Yeah,
They did a flip. If you get tails, you have to find a basic, but
should probably just be a 4 of.
it feels like it a little bit. Which is another interesting thing about always going back and playing retro formats is just like what could have been, like what if the format had progressed. Usually Worlds formats are kind of a end of a format, so it doesn't really, nothing else happens after it, but.
I'll use Firestarter to put a fire energy from my discard pile to Team Aqua's Manectric. I will then use Power Shift to move the energy from Team Aqua's Manectric to my active Combusken.
Oh.
I'll attach
Sure,
return
yeah.
to my team, or to my Combusken, and I'm going for the lunge.
It does have an attack.
50 damage if heads, if tails, it does nothing. This is a big flip.
Well, I don't think I can knock out Combusken, so.
I mean, 3 to 6 prizes. I think it's a pretty big flip.
Okay, it's big for that reason.
I gotta cash in. It's tails.
Better luck next year, Chip.
It does nothing.
All right, I will draw for turn. I will play Team Magma Conspirator. Search my deck for 2 basic energy or basic Magma Pokemon. The original Roseanne's research.
Throwing it back.
Honestly, if you had drawn a little bit more aggressively, I'd probably be in trouble. I have none of my stage 1 set up yet, so I would be scared.
I think it'll be very unlikely for me to win this game, but I thought that in game 1. So we'll see.
For some reason, I feel like you have a copycat coming. Couldn't tell you why. Bench a Groudon, attach a basic fighting energy to the Groudon, and then I will go ahead and linear attack to knock out your Oddish off the bench.
Okay, goodbye, Oddish. I will draw for turn. I will then use Energy Draw to discard a fire energy from my hand to draw 3 cards. You know, Azul, I probably should have put a copycat, but for some reason I didn't. I will use Steven's advice to draw 5 cards.
I almost benched another Pokemon as well, but I was like, I don't really want this in play right now.
I'll evolve my Combusken into Blaziken EX.
Okay.
I'll use Firestarter to put a fire energy from my discard pile to Team Aqua's Manectric. I will then attach return to my Blaziken EX. I will use Power Shift to move a energy from the Aqua's Manectric to the active Blaziken EX. So I will, with the Blaziken EX, go for the Volcanic Ash, and I will choose to knock out the Ball Toy, taking a prize.
Sounds good. All right, Chip, I'm gonna draw for turn. I did just top deck my Clay Doll. Nothing would have mattered, I guess, in this instance, because if it's dead, it's dead. Okay. All right. So we got some squad here set up, quite a few of them.
Oh, and I take 10 damage from the Desert Ruin.
Oh yeah, can't forget that. So I do 30 active, 32 the active. I'm gonna go and play Team Magma Conspirator, searching my deck for Team Magma Pokemon, basics, and basic energy, and I'll get a basic fighting energy and a ball toy. And I'm gonna continue with the onslaught of Groudons here. I'll bench another Groudon, attach a basic fighting energy to it. I'll bench my ball toy, and then I'll linear attack your active for 30 damage, Chip.
Okay, so then I go up to 40 and then 50 from the Desert Ruins.
Yep.
Then I'll draw for turn. Okay. I'm gonna do something kind of silly, but it's what I need to do to thin cards out of my hand. So I'll bench a Torchic, and then I will rare candy my... Well, an unfortunate one there for me, Azul, but in game 3 I do get to choose if I want to go first or second. So I think I will choose to go first. Hope to open that Dunsparce.
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense. I didn't really think about the turn 1 rules, but like playing 4 Dunsparce.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, I guess a lot of decks don't have a lot of aggressive mobility back then either, like switches. Some people play it, but it's not. Yeah.
Usually like 1 switch, usually like 1 warp energy, stuff like that.
Even naturally drawing into the Dunsparce, if you don't start it, still feels like a big deal to like do on turn 2 or something.
Yeah. You don't have to do it on the first turn.
Yeah.
But it's really good when you do, and hopefully that'll be the case here. As I look at my opening hand and see no basic Pokemon.
All right. Looks good, Chip.
No basics.
Definitely gonna be drawing this mulligan. I guess you can just draw them as you go, right?
Yeah, I think at this point in the game you just drew them as you went. Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't even wait. Okay. I got a Torchic.
Got the Groudon.
All right, it is my turn going first, and Azul I will pass.
All right, Chip, sounds good. I'll draw for turn.
That is the downside of going first sometimes.
Yeah.
Your hand just sucks, and you don't get to draw.
Attach to my Groudon, bench my Numel, and Chip, I will pass it back to you.
Interesting. Draw for turns. I will bench a Skitty. Then I will play an Oracle to choose 2 cards from my deck, put them on top of my deck in any order. And I'll take these 2 cards and put them on top of my deck. And then Azul, I will pass to you.
Okay, there's a lot of good top decks here. Let's see. That's pretty good. Okay. I will play a Pokemon Reversal.
Stop it.
I will play a second Pokemon Reversal.
No.
Please. No.
Oh, it was totally going to be Tails. Holy cow.
Bring it back.
We should just call it Tails. It was definitely going to be Tails. It slid off the table.
I'll bring up your Skitty.
It was going to be Tails.
I'll attach for turn. And then I will linear attack to knock out your Skitty here.
Okay, the aggro Groudon. I will draw for turn. Oh, boy.
This is going to be a quick game 3, Chip.
No, it's not looking great. I will use Steven's advice to draw cards for each Pokemon you have in play. So I will draw 2 cards. I'll rare candy my Torchic into Blaziken.
Okay.
I will pass to you, Azul.
All right. I will draw for turn.
What?
Nothing. And I will play a Team Magma Ball. Flipping a coin. If heads, I get any Team Magma Pokemon. If tails, I have to get a basic. I did get tails. So I'll go ahead and grab a Baltoy from my deck. And then I'll go ahead and bench the Baltoy and linear attack, doing 30 damage to your active Blaziken.
30 damage. Draw for turn.
30 damage is actually a lot in this matchup.
Interesting. I'll use Pokemon Nurse to remove the 30 damage. I'll pass.
Okay, I will draw and I will linear attack, doing 30 damage.
Draw. How many cards you got in your hand?
6.
I'll use Friend Ball to search my deck for a Pokemon that is the same type as one of your Pokemon in play. And then I will grab out a Torchic, of course, since you've got that Team Magma's Numel. I would have liked if you had benched a Zangoose, I'm not going to lie, but that's okay. It's okay. I'll attach return to my active Blaziken, and then I'll go for the Copycat. Shuffle my hand into the deck and draw a number of cards equal to your cards. So I'll get myself 6.
It's actually pretty decent.
Not bad. I mean, it's better than what I had. That is for sure.
True.
Had to top deck something at some point. Okay. Draw 6 cards. I will bench a Skitty, and I will pass to you.
All right, sounds good, Chip. I'll draw for turn. Okay, that's a good one. I will go ahead and bench a Groudon.
Yes.
And then play Steven's advice to draw 3. I've been holding off on playing this one for a little while.
Yep.
I mean, 3 is still pretty weak, but that's not bad. Got the Camerupt, got the Desert Ruins, got the attachment for turn, which means I got that pulverization to knock out your Blaziken here and get myself a prize card.
Looking rough here. I will send up Torchic. I will draw for turn. I will play Professor Elm's training method, searching my deck for an evolution Pokemon, putting it into my hand, and I will grab Delcatty and immediately evolve my Skitty. So Delcatty in play. I will use Energy Draw to discard a basic fire energy, draw 3 cards. This might be too far gone. I'll attach for turn to Dunsparce, and Azul, I'll pass.
All right, sounds good to me, Chip. I'll draw for turn. Gonna go ahead and play a TV Reporter, draw 3 cards, and then discard any 1 card from my hand. And I will discard this Zangoose here. Get rid of that. I'll then attach a basic fighting energy to my benched Groudon, and I'm gonna go with that pulverization to knock out your lone Torchic.
Not ideal.
Over to you.
Road Dunsparce, I'll draw for turn. I'll use Energy Draw, discarding a fire energy to draw 3. Okay. All right. Probably the best thing I could have drawn. I'll use Town Volunteers, shuffling back in 5 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy. And I will shuffle back a basic fire, 2 Torchic, a Blaziken, and a Skitty.
Sounds good.
Then I will go for Strike and Run to search my deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon and put them onto my bench. I think I'm definitely going to have to go with some sudden flashes for a few turns here. So with that being considered, I will grab Torchic, and Dunsparce, and I will run into this Dunsparce. Try to conserve an energy in play.
Of course, gotta.
And I guess you could just not KO my Dunsparce. That would be kind of annoying.
Well, then you just sudden flash.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I can linear attack around this one.
Yeah, I'll pass. Or well, I'll do all that and send this one up.
Okay, sure.
Here you go.
Draw. All right, Chip, how many cards you got in hand?
I have 6 cards in my hand.
All right, sounds good. I'm gonna bench a Baltoy. I will attach a Rainbow Energy to the Baltoy as well. I'll play a Pokemon Reversal. Flip a coin of heads, bring up one of your bench Pokemon to the active. It's a Tails. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna linear attack one of your Torchics here for 20.
Okay, draw for turn. I'll use Energy Draw, discarding energy, draw 3. I'll attach an energy for turn to Dunsparce. Oracle, search my deck for 2 cards, put them on top, shuffle my deck afterwards. Put those 2 on top. And then Azul, I will go for the Sudden Flash. 10 damage for the coin of heads. You are paralyzed, and it is indeed heads. 10 damage and paralyzed.
Sounds good. Go ahead, draw for turn. I'm gonna go ahead and play a Mr. Barney's Compassion here, picking up my active Groudon, promoting my benched Groudon. I'll then go ahead and attach the Special Darkness Energy to my active Groudon, and linear attack to deal 20 damage to your other Torchic.
Draw for turn. I'll use energy draw to discard a basic fire, draw 3. I will rare candy my Torchic into Blaziken. I will evolve my other Torchic into Combusken. I'll attach an energy for turn to my Blaziken, and I will go for the Copycat. Shuffle my hand into the deck and draw a number of cards equal to the number of cards you have in your hand.
It is 9.
I'll use Firestarter to put an energy from my discard pile onto the Blaziken, and I'll go for the Sudden Flash. Flip a coin if heads you are paralyzed. It is heads. You're paralyzed. 10 damage.
Here we go again. All right, Chip. Draw for turn. How many cards do you have in hand?
9.
All right, I'm gonna bench a Groudon here, attach a Special Dark Energy, and then I'll play Copycat, shuffling my hand into my deck and drawing as many cards as you have. 9. And with that, Chip, I will pass it over to you.
I'll evolve my Electric into Team Aqua's Manectric. I will evolve my Combusken into Blaziken. I will Firestarter number 1. I will retreat my Dunsparce into Blaziken. I will then use Firestarter number 2 to put an energy onto the other Blaziken. And I'll go for the Fire Stream, 50 damage, discard the fire, and you take 10 to all your benched Pokemon.
All right, sounds good, Chip. I'm gonna go ahead and draw for turn here. I'm gonna go ahead and play an Underground Expedition, looking at the bottom 4 cards of the deck, taking any 2 and putting the other 2 back in any order. Grab these, or then evolve my Baltoy to a Claydol. I will attach a basic Fighting Energy for turn, play a switch into my bench Groudon, use Magma Switch to move this basic Fighting Energy off my bench Groudon to my active Groudon, and then I'll Pulverization for 80 damage total with the Special Dark Energy.
This is enough for the knockouts. I'll promote my Dunsparce. I'll draw for turn. I'll Firestarter a basic fire over to Team Aqua's Manectric. Yep. I'll use Oracle to choose 2 cards from my deck, put them on top, shuffle the rest back in, put them on top in that order, and I will go for the Sudden Flash, 10 damage, and you are not paralyzed, unfortunately.
All right, that's a big deal here, Chip. I'll draw for turn. I'm gonna go ahead and play a Team Magma Conspirator, searching my deck for a basic Team Magma's Pokemon and basic energy card. I'm gonna grab a Groudon and a basic Fighting Energy. Okay. I'll then bench the Groudon, use a Magma Switch to move a basic Fighting from the active benched Groudon. I'll evolve my Baltoy into my second Claydol, attach for turn to my bench Groudon, and then Chip, I'm gonna go with that linear attack to knock out your Dunsparce here.
Goodbye, Dunsparce. I'll promote my Team Aqua's Manectric, and I will draw for turn. I'll bench Rayquaza EX. I will attach a basic Lightning Energy to it. I will Firestarter a basic Fire Energy to the Rayquaza EX. I'll then use Switch to move my Rayquaza EX from the bench to my active spot. And then I will play a Steven's Advice as the 6th card in my hand. I can play it and draw 6 cards. I'll use Energy Draw, discard a basic fire, draw 3. I'll use Power Shift to move a basic energy from my Team Aqua's Manectric to any of my other Pokemon, moving it to the active, and I'll Dragon Burst. Discard all the fire energies to do 40 damage for each, 80 damage for the knockout on Team Magma's Groudon. I really feel like I should be getting 2 prize cards, but I'm only getting 1. That's a lot of work to knock out a 1 prize Pokemon.
It definitely is. All right, well, this has definitely made things a little bit more interesting, I'm not gonna lie. The Rayquaza making an appearance here. It is resistance to fighting as well, right?
Resistant to fighting.
Okay. I'm gonna promote my Groudon here, and I'll draw for turn. And Chip, I did top deck pretty well there. I will bench a Zangoose, attach return to Zangoose, use Magma Switch number 1 to move this energy to the active, Magma Switch number 2 to move this energy to Zangoose, retreat into the Zangoose, and the Rayquaza is weak to colorless, so team play will get the KO here for my final prize card.
What a bummer, man. What a bummer. Oddish hiding out in the prizes. I did take it off my first prize. I just couldn't take a prize until way too late in the game.
This game I was pretty set up for the Flame Ball though. I had, even if you had a later Blossom there, my expertise of this matchup has definitely increased.
Yeah, I mean, it's the matchup. I think like if I get a quick couple Blazikens, start
to spread
fire
damage.
streaming right away, like on turn 3. If I can fire stream on like turn 3, turn 4, feels really pretty decent for me.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to do that than it is to just attach, attack.
Yeah, exactly. And then I got all those free linear attacks to set up your Blazekins. I didn't have to 2-KO them once I made it their way to the active.
Yeah, didn't have a way to heal them without Blossom.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. All right, well, that was fun. Azul, what do you think of 2004?
I mean, it's a ton of fun. Every time I go back and play the Magma deck, or even that deck. Actually, honestly, the Magma deck I feel like is the coolest deck to play that I played with from back then. Because I feel like I don't know, it feels like its depth of options is like the most interesting. Like, whereas the Blaziken deck is a little bit more straightforward. And I guess, honestly, that is where what else have I played in 2004? I can't even like think about.
You played Gardevoir, Wailord. I've got a All-Rain deck. I've got a Swampert deck.
Yeah, the Magma deck is definitely the coolest. Every time I go back to play it, it's always a ton of fun, for sure. And this was a fun match. I always love playing some retro, for sure. So I'm excited for our future battles.
And it does look like, for the rematch sake of this, Magma did still come out on top.
Yeah.
So
it definitely feels favorable.
History did repeat itself.
Yeah, this time it definitely does feel favorable. You have all the options. The Claydol matches the Blaziken EX. The Camerupt can match the Blossom, which is probably the bigger one. Because 2-KO in the Blaziken is fine. It's a 2-prize Pokemon, so 2-KO and it's not that big of a deal. But the potential for the 1-KO on the Blossom is like the biggest deal for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
See you next time for 2005.
Sounds good.